and they get out there in the woods in a circle, naked, and they decide these things, and, and... look at him trying to count it out. It's hilarious. And, and I'm sick of... hold on a second. You know what they're trying to do?
Who?
This thing is buzzing. Hold on. They're trying to turn us into, consumer drones of some sort.
Jim Carrey didn't just drop a bombshell on live television. He quietly handed the public a map to something far darker than anyone realized, and almost no one noticed at first. Buried in his usual antics on Jimmy Kimmel Live was a single chilling detail. A list of celebrities who allegedly pressured Netflix to cut 50 Cent's most explosive interviews from the Diddy documentary. Interviews that, according to 3 insiders, tied Diddy's infamous parties to a 2016 incident so damning the mogul paid an 8-figure sum to keep it hidden. But here's the part Carrey didn't say out loud. Those same celebrities had spent years publicly condemning Diddy's behavior, even as their lawyers worked behind the scenes to erase their own connections to the story. That's not irony. That's a cover-up. And if you follow the trail of who wanted those scenes gone, it doesn't just lead to Diddy, it leads to a system. One that, according to Carrey's not-so-cryptic warnings, is still very much in place. We've seen Carrey's antics before, the wild interviews, the Illuminati jokes, the tongue-in-cheek rants about secret societies. But what happened on Jimmy Kimmel Live in November 2024 wasn't comedy. It was a calculated leak, timed to coincide with the sentencing phase of Diddy's trial. The actor, known for his chaotic energy, sat across from Kimmel with a completely serious expression, making the triangle hand gesture, the one tied to the Illuminati mythos, and dropping a line that sent shockwaves through the industry. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies.
It's the symbol of the all-mocking tongue. And I'm sick of it. I want everybody to be in on the joke, man. You know what I mean? For years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on.
Then he described a scene. Decisions made, out in the woods in a circle, naked. That wasn't a punchline, that was a description. And it matches, word for word, the affidavits from Diddy's 2006 White Party, where witnesses describe exactly that: a circle, a ritual, and a rite of passage for newcomers. The same party where a 16-year-old boy alleges Diddy told him, "Don't you want to break into the business?" before the encounter turned violent. The same party where, according to lawsuits, drinks were tampered with, phones were confiscated, and the only rule was, what happens in the woods stays in the woods.
That footage ended up going to 50 Cent and his production company, and it's kind of the centerpiece.
Sold to them.
Yes, was the centerpiece of the documentary. So watch this particular scene, because this is where a lot of people feel Diddy really screwed over someone that he should be very, very thankful.
But here's the twist. Carrey wasn't just referencing old rumors. He was pointing to something active, something tied to the documentary Diddy tried to bury. Sources familiar with the production tell us 50 Cent's segments weren't just critical of Diddy. They connected the mogul's infamous gatherings to a 2016 incident at the Intercontinental Hotel. The same one Cassie Ventura described under oath. The same one Diddy settled for a sum so large, the court sealed the number. And now, we're learning that the list of stars who allegedly demanded those cuts reads like a who's who of Hollywood's most powerful. Names who publicly condemned Diddy's actions, yet whose legal teams scrambled to erase their ties to the story. That's not hypocrisy, that's coordination. The timeline here is everything. In November 2023, Cassie files her lawsuit. By December, 50 Cent is filming explosive interviews for a Diddy expose. By February 2024, those interviews are gone, and 50's team is suddenly silent. Then, Jim Carrey, a man with zero skin in this game, drops a hint on national television about secret symbols and the all-mocking tongue. That wasn't a joke. That was a signal. And the people who understood it? They're the ones panicking right now. Because Carrey's Illuminati rant wasn't random. It was a deliberate framing device, setting up the idea that Diddy's crimes are just the visible layer of something older, deeper, and still active. Let's talk about the white parties. For years, they were the ultimate status symbol. An invite meant you'd arrived. Jay-Z and Beyoncé debuted new music there. Justin Bieber, then a teenager, was a guest. Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian, Leonardo DiCaprio. They all walked through those doors.
I'm sorry, I'm just I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck. During those years, you're still stuck, 21.
But behind the velvet ropes, something else was happening. A former assistant described the scene to the BBC. Females at all hours coming out and sitting down on the street. They didn't know where they were. Their clothing was disheveled. They appeared lost. Police were called to Diddy's Beverly Hills mansion 14 times in 7 years. Neighbors reported seeing young attendees stumbling out at dawn, confused, sometimes in tears. And now, lawsuits allege those parties weren't just wild, they were strategic. A 16-year-old boy claims Diddy cornered him in a private area, calling it a rite of passage for breaking into the industry. An adult film performer says she was groomed into trafficking after working multiple white parties, where she alleges drinks were spiked. A security guard from the 2006 event says he was assaulted after witnessing something he shouldn't have. These aren't isolated incidents. They're a pattern, and the pattern suggests Diddy wasn't acting alone.
Known that I've talked for a while, a lot of people are buzzing that Diddy's former BFFs are real quiet.
And they have been.
And people were wondering why and who's the next to fall. And then Jay-Z comes out, and then LeBron James says, I'm stepping away for excused personal reasons. And people are going, oh, what is going on?
Then there's the Usher connection. In 2016, the singer told Howard Stern about living with Diddy at 13 years old. I got a chance to see some things. I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild. He described walking in on group encounters, on people doing things in rooms he wasn't supposed to enter. And when Stern asked if he'd let his own kids near that environment, hell no. Fast forward to 2024, and Justin Bieber, who spent his own teenage years around Diddy, unfollows Usher on Instagram the same week the raids happen. Coincidence? Maybe. But Bieber's name surfaced in old Keeping Up with the Kardashians footage, where Khloe casually mentions attending one of Diddy's naked parties with him. And let's not forget the 2011 video where Diddy jokes about having custody of a 15-year-old Bieber for 48 hours, promising they'd go buck-fool crazy. That's not mentorship. That's a red flag. Now, let's layer in the Netflix documentary, Sean Combs, The Reckoning, the one 50 Cent produced.
Legal team. Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day.
Perhaps.
What was he intending to use it for?
I have no idea what he was doing that for.
Insiders say it wasn't just about Diddy's downfall. It was about the machine that protected him. The same machine that, according to Carrey's implications, extends into the highest levels of entertainment. The documentary opens with leaked footage of Diddy in a room with his lawyers, just days before sentencing, discussing damage control. How did 50 Cent get that? Because, as one producer put it, Diddy didn't pay the cameraman. And if he didn't pay the cameraman, what else didn't he pay for? What else was recorded? What else is out there? The question no one's asking yet is this. If Diddy was just the muscle, who was giving the orders? Because the list of names tied to this, from the celebrities who attended the parties to the ones who allegedly pressured Netflix to cancel 50 Cent's segments, suggests a network. A network with rules. A network with symbols. A network that, according to Carrey, decides things out in the woods in a circle, naked. And if that's true, then the video Diddy suppressed isn't just evidence. It's a receipt. A receipt for a transaction we're only now starting to understand.
If the defense in the Diddy case gets its way, Diddy could be a free man next month.
Meanwhile, the trial rolls on. Diddy's team calls the allegations offensive and outrageous. His former associates stay silent. And the celebrities who partied with him? They're lawyering up. But here's the thing about dominoes. They don't fall one at a time. They fall in chains. And right now, the first piece isn't just tipping. It's already hit the ground. The only question left is how far the collapse goes. Because if Jim Carrey is right, and let's be clear, he's never been this serious, then we're not just watching Diddy's reckoning. We're watching the first cracks in something much, much bigger. And that's when the texts start coming in. The ones from people who were there. The ones who say they have footage. The ones who whisper about the other list. The list of names Diddy allegedly kept in a safe. The list that, according to two production sources, wasn't just his guests. It was his insurance. Because in a system where silence is the currency, the real power isn't in what you've done. It's in what you know about everyone else. And if that list exists, then the documentary wasn't just about Diddy. It was about who's next. Let's talk about the cuts. Because 50 Cent's deleted scenes weren't just about Diddy.
The feeling that I have about the documentary, man, it was just old news, and they took a couple of with the footage from Puff from the days that's leading up him to get arrested, and the incidents with the people from the courts, you know, the two people from the courts. So it was nothing new.
They were about the others, the ones who partied with him, the ones who looked the other way, and the ones who, according to 3 separate lawsuits, actively participated. Usher, Nayo, Kid Cudi, all named in court documents, all present during incidents Cassie described, and all, conveniently, absent from the final documentary. That's not censorship, that's damage control. And if you look at who was scrubbed from those interviews, a pattern emerges that's impossible to ignore. Follow the money. Diddy's white parties weren't just about wild nights, they were about leverage. You want a record deal? Fine. You want a movie role? No problem. but you play by the rules. And the rules, according to multiple witnesses, included private gatherings where the real transaction wasn't what happened in the room. It was what you agreed to forget afterward.
I'm out and collect everybody's phone. So now it's just your word against a billionaire. You're gonna lose. Read this right there from that young man.
That's why when Cassie tried to leave Diddy in 2012, his team allegedly told her, "Your single won't drop." That's why Kid Cudie's car exploded after he got involved with her. And that's why, when 50 Cent started asking questions, his most damning interviews vanished overnight. This isn't how documentaries get made. It's how secrets get buried. The question is, who's holding the shovel? Now let's talk about the contradictions.
It was like, wow, for Diddy? What? You know, that was a person that I looked up to. He was a mogul, and I listened to all the artists that he made superstars. And so to have a chance to be able to be signed to him, it was amazing. It was like, oh my God, I'm here. I finally did it.
Usher has spent years downplaying his time at Diddy's house, telling Howard Stern he didn't see anything when he lived there at 13. Yet in a 2004 interview with Rolling Stone, he painted a very different picture. You'd open a door and see somebody doing it, or several people in a room having an orgy. You never knew what was going to happen. So which is it? Did he see nothing, or did he see everything? And why, after decades of silence, did Justin Bieber unfollow Usher the same day Diddy's homes were raided by the FBI? Bieber's team calls it just a social media cleanup. But Bieber wasn't just at Diddy's parties. He was featured in them. In 2011, Diddy joked on camera about having custody of a 15-year-old Bieber for 48 hours, promising they'd go buckfool crazy. That's not mentorship. That's a liability. And Bieber's not the only one cutting ties. Brad Pitt's 2012 film premiere, the night Diddy allegedly assaulted Cassie in full view of security cameras, has become a black hole of unanswered questions. Pitt's team has never commented. Neither has the Intercontinental Hotel. But according to a former staff member who spoke to the BBC, the footage exists. So where is it? And who's making sure we never see it?
Look at how many people he affected negatively. That was his trade-off to gain what he had. His former bodyguard, Gene Deal, said he seen him doing a ritual where they dove. What is that? And I feel like it's being overlooked because they see him doing the dance moves with the baggy clothes. You know, some of the ladies in his videos were trans ladies.
Let's talk about the flavor camp. That's what Diddy called his New York home when Usher moved in at 13, a place where young talent could learn the industry. But the lessons had nothing to do with music. Usher himself described walking in on private encounters so frequently it became normal, a crash course in behavior no teenager should witness, let alone participate in. This wasn't mentorship, it was conditioning. The same pattern emerges in Cassie's lawsuit, where she details how Diddy isolated her, controlled her finances, and dosed her with substances until resistance felt impossible. The playbook is always the same. Dangle the carrot of fame, then rewrite the rules of consent. And the scariest part? It worked. Because when you're told this is how the industry operates, you start to believe the only way up is through. Now consider the others, the ones we don't know about. The background singers, the dancers, the unknown artists who cycled through Diddy's orbit and vanished without a trace. One former Bad Boy intern, speaking anonymously to The Hollywood Reporter, described the house as a revolving door of young talent. Kids fresh off the bus from Atlanta or LA, wide-eyed and desperate for a break. Some left with record deals, others left with trauma. And a few, according to the intern, never really left at all. They just learned to play by the rules. Because in that world, silence wasn't just encouraged, it was mandatory. The question isn't just how many went through it. It's how many are still trapped in the cycle, protecting Diddy not because they want to, but because they've been trained to.
He cornered me. And then he asked me, with his arm up, he asked me, "How you doing?" I'm kind of like, wow, this is, what the heck? Very uncomfortable. And then he rubbed his hand down my breast. He said, "If you need anything at all, you let me know."
Here's the thing about grooming. It doesn't end when the cameras stop rolling. The relationships Diddy cultivated weren't just professional, they were psychological. Cassie testified that even after she escaped, she lived in fear of retaliation against her family, her career, her life. Usher, now a father, has spent years distancing himself from that era, yet he still won't name names. And the ones who do speak out? Their stories get buried under legal threats and PR spin. Because the system isn't just Diddy. It's the managers who looked the other way, the labels that profited from the chaos, and the industry that still rewards compliance over morality. If that documentary ever sees the light of day, we won't just see Diddy's crimes. We'll see the faces of everyone who helped him get away with it. Then there's the financial trail. Diddy didn't just throw parties. He built an empire on them. And empires don't run on chaos. They run on control.
Lenient sentence. So what they're asking for is this. They are saying, look, he was found not guilty on all the serious charges, racketeering, fraud, force, coercion, all of those, found not guilty. He wasn't charged with but it was part of the force issue. The only thing he's left with is the Mann Act, which is taking a across state lines and paying them for.
That's where the Obama ecstasy pills come in? Yes, you heard that right. During the trial, a former assistant testified that Diddy carried around 25 to 30 bottles of pills, including a batch stamped with the face of the former president. Not as a joke, as a flex. Because in Diddy's world, even the substances were branded. And if you think that's just a weird coincidence, consider this. The same week Jim Carrey went on Kimmel with his Illuminati rant, reports surfaced about Diddy's ties to high-level financiers, the kind who don't just invest in music, but in silence. The Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the names Carrey name-checked in his all-mocking tongue bit. That wasn't random, that was a roadmap. Because the Illuminati isn't about hooded figures in a basement. It's about power brokers in plain sight, the ones who decide who gets famous, who gets rich, and who gets erased.
I don't know this, but it just seems very suspicious when you go through and you look at in the history of different people that can make you go away if you listen, I've worried about some of the things that I talk about on my show.
Let's connect the dots. Carrey didn't pull that secret symbols line out of thin air. He was pointing us toward the system. The same system that, according to Cassie's lawsuit, allowed Diddy to control every aspect of her life, from her career to her relationships to her bank account. The same system that, according to Don Richard of Danity Kane, made women powerless to speak out because reporting Mr. Combs to the authorities would not alter Mr. Combs' status or influence. That's not just abuse, that's institutionalized impunity. And Diddy wasn't the architect. He was the enforcer, the muscle, the guy who made sure everyone played along. But enforcers don't work alone, they answer to someone. So who was pulling his strings? Here's what we know. The documentary was supposed to drop in early 2024. It didn't. 50 Cent's interviews vanished. Jim Carrey, a man who spent decades avoiding real controversy, suddenly starts talking about occult symbolism and consumer drones. And Diddy? He's still got friends in high places. His legal team is one of the most expensive in the country. His former associates are staying quiet. And the celebrities who partied with him? They're lawyering up, not talking. That's not fear, that's strategy. Because if this is what they're willing to let us see, the lawsuits, the raids, the deleted scenes, imagine what they're still hiding. And that brings us to the biggest question of all. If Diddy's just the tip of the iceberg, who's beneath the surface? Because the people who really run this town don't get their hands dirty. They don't need to. They've got guys like Diddy to do it for them. And guys like Carrey? They're the ones who slip up, who let the mask drop for just a second, who remind us that the real story isn't about one disgraced mogul. It's about the machine that created him, the machine that's still running, the machine that, if we're not careful, will keep right on running long after the headlines fade. So tell us, what do you think is still buried? Who else knew? And more importantly, who's next? Drop your theories in the comments, hit that like button if you're still reeling from this, and don't forget to subscribe, because this story, it's far from over. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep your eyes open. The truth doesn't stay hidden forever.